Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official list of the top worst games of 2022. This is an extremely subjective list. It is just my opinion on games I remember being horrible for one reason or another, whether it was both of their offenses, the weather, things like that. Guys, this is my top 10 list for the 2022 regular season, and we kick it off at number 10, and it's going to be a rivalry game, the hyped up Oklahoma-Nebraska big noon game. Mickey Joseph, his first career game as interim head coach. Of course, weird situation with Mickey Joseph. Apparently, he was charged with strangulation and stuff, and we hope that situation, I don't even know what to say on that. But either way, guys, this was one of those hyped up rivalry games. I remember thinking Nebraska might be galvanized after firing Scott Frost. They kind of made a bold decision when you look back on it, and they could have waited until October 1st for Scott Frost's buyout to be cut in half. But apparently Scott Frost was so bad that he got paid more money because they fired him before his buyout got cut. So he was so bad he actually made more money because they had to pay him the full buyout. But either way, guys, this game was 35-7 at half. Little fun fact on it, I remember I had the under 63.5, and this is one of those that had no business winning, but it won because Oklahoma just stopped trying. They just sat on the ball, and the under ended up hitting. Nebraska, it felt like they never really had a chance in this game, although I do remember Oklahoma scored a touchdown on the first drive really quickly, and then Nebraska came back and scored a touchdown. It was Trey Palmer with like a 30-yard touchdown. Either way, it clearly didn't matter. This was a domination. One of those big noon games. Yes, a big noon game at 11 a.m. Central in Nebraska. How does that work out? It's just miserable, folks. 49-14, let's be real. It is terrible. And it comes in at number 10. Moving down to number 9 on my list of worst games for 2022. It's going to be Colorado State and New Mexico. Now, guys, this is a game that just recently happened, I think last week, 17-0. I had to include one of these nothing burgers in the Mountain West. Just absolutely zero offense in this game. Combined 23 first downs total. New Mexico had 9 first downs. But, guys, this screenshot right here, there's no way. I look at this screenshot, I'm forced to include it. Punt, 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 punt. So I had to include it for that. But listen, there's like 4 or 5 of these Mountain West games a year where just nothing happens. It's like 30 degrees, everyone's miserable, and the teams are just terrible. Nothing against New Mexico and Colorado State. They're out there playing hard. This is why we love college football. But unfortunately, they're going to make the list of the top 10 worst games of 2022, coming in at number 9. Moving down the list to number 8, I have no clue why they did this. I still don't know. It is Clemson, Boston College, and yes, this was a 7:30 game on ABC. I think there was something going on to where ESPN did not have any sort of rights that week or something. I don't know. This game was a 21-point spread. It was a total nothing burger. Boston College didn't even sell it out. You can see, pretty typical day for DJ Uiagalelei. He goes 18 of 31. He does have 3 passing touchdowns and an interception, but this game was just bleh. It was horrible, especially for an ABC game. You can see Clemson just never threatened. This game was never remotely close. They had never had a chance of losing it. And again, part of this situation in terms of worst games goes into the fact that this was ABC's primetime 7:30 spot. And you know what actually ABC was doing a lot more this year? It seemed like they got the rights to a lot more or a lot better 7 o'clock games that were on ESPN, the SEC games. How many 7 o'clock ESPN SEC games did Herb Street call? It felt like at least 4. So maybe that's part of their new scheduling model. But either way, guys, this game was just horrific. I don't know how it got on ABC. It was a 21-point spread, I believe, or right around there, maybe 22. And it comes in at number 8 on the list of worst games, moving down to number 7. Guys, I'm starting to think this game probably should have been moved up more. It's going to be Nevada, Iowa, the 27-0 Iowa win. And this was the game, if you don't remember, early in the season, there was a massive lightning delay. It was not like one of these things where you wait 40 minutes. They kept waiting, and then right when they were about to get back on the field, there would be another lightning strike. So then they'd have to take another 40-minute delay at least to wait, and then there'd be another strike. And this game ended up starting like at 2 a.m. local time. Again, just a miserable football game. Two horrifically bad offenses. And I remember I had the under in this game. So there's some fond memories for sure with this one. They are. Let's not bash it too much. At least, you got a few things going for you. But obviously, just terrible football. The delay plays into it. Miserable. And you can see the Iowa faithful remaining at about 2 a.m. to watch Iowa win 27-0. And that did help Iowa make a bowl game. So that comes in at number 7. Moving to number 6, this game, one of the craziest weather games of the year, Northwestern and Penn State, and you just could not throw the football in this game. I feel like, don't quote me on this, but I feel like there were 12 fumbles in this game. Every other play there was a fumble. Every other play. It was one of the most extreme weather games of the year. 17-7. I'm shocked they even combined for that many yards, honestly. That's a good job by Penn State's offense. I mean, it was just constant rain. It wasn't like a hurricane or anything like that, but it was just constant wet rain. And it wouldn't stop. It was just like a cell over the stadium. I didn't even know this game was going to have weather. I also had the under in this game and really just lucked out because of the weather. I mean, you could have told me it was 80 degrees that day and I would have believed you because I didn't know it was going to be that bad genuinely. But really, just a game where neither offenses could do anything. Some people like watching games like that. I think they're fun for a change of pace. But in terms of the quality of football, to me, it's got to earn a spot on the list of the worst games of 2022, coming in at number 6. Moving to the top 5, and this is another rivalry game. It's Texas, Oklahoma, the decapitation, 49-0. This was never a game. I remember Texas was 8-point favorites, and I said there was value. I said there was value on Oklahoma +8. How did that work out? Bijan Robinson, 2 touchdowns. Quinn Ewers kind of has a really good game. And then for Oklahoma, we remember the Dylan Gabriel, crazy concussion he suffered the week before. They just couldn't do anything on offense with their backup quarterback. 35 first downs for Texas, and Oklahoma just couldn't throw the ball. And this was another kind of hyped up rivalry game, or I guess it really wasn't that hyped up, but it was a big stage rivalry game that was really pretty much over in the first quarter when we realized Oklahoma's, backup quarterback didn't know how to throw. So that comes in at number 5 on my list of worst games of 2022. Moving to number 4, and of course it has to involve Iowa again. It is the Week 1 South Dakota State-Iowa game, and actually looking back and reflecting on it, it was an upset that Iowa won this game because South Dakota State is a really good FCS team. I think they're the favorite right now to win the FCS championship. But either way, what a miserable football game. I remember the line on this game coming out, Iowa -10. And I was like, how is Iowa only a 10-point favorite over an FCS school? Well, we understand now. The only real unfortunate thing, Iowa won the second half of this game 4-0. But the final score ended up 7-3. So it was not a weird final score. I wish it would have ended up 5-3. Could you imagine like 4-3 or something like that? But it did end 7-3 because they had a field goal and then back-to-back safeties. They won the second half 4-0. So my goodness, 16 total first downs, less than 300 combined yards. I did not realize how horrifically bad this game truly was. I believe it was on Big Ten Network. So congratulations to the people that watched that. It comes in at number 4 on my list. Moving down to number 3, we've got Ohio State and Northwestern, and oh my goodness. You know what? I bet the people that hate Ohio State liked this game. It was so miserable. You couldn't throw. You could not throw. They measured the winds off the lake. It was worst case scenario. Wind gusts up to 75 miles per hour. C.J. Stroud, 26 pass attempts, 76 yards with those receivers. Just crazy. Northwestern, ball controlling the game. They were with the wind. This was a weird game where actually deferring the toss, or like picking which way do you want to be, with the wind or not with the wind, that mattered a ton, because teams like Ohio State was with the wind in the second and third quarter, and that's when they were really able to move the ball. This game, I believe the fact is CJ Stroud had like more rushing yards this game than he had in the rest of his Ohio State career combined. I think that's the fact on this, because they just couldn't throw. And you look at the box score, Northwestern outgained Ohio State by 2 yards. Isn't that amazing? It is. It's pretty crazy. Again, you just could not throw the ball. There was just no way to throw. It was so miserable. It rained like a bit in the second quarter, but other than that, it was just all wind. It was all wind, blah, horrible day, totally overcast. One of the worst. I mean, you could say one of the best games as well. It's like the worst and the best because the wind is fun, but it was so frustrating, man. It was so frustrating. So it comes in at number 3 on the list. Moving to number 2, and it's the Texas A&M UMass game. Texas A&M wins 20-3. But of course, the big story, the Texas A&M crowd. At this point, going into this game, UMass, one of the worst teams in FBS. Texas A&M, 3-7. They have no chance of making a bowl game. They started the year preseason number 7 in the country. And the crowd in the rain and 50-degree cold Texas weather in November. What a narrative, right? I'm setting the stage. I'm setting the setting of how bad this was. Just a terrible, terrible, terrible college football experience, I'm sure, for the people that went. No atmosphere, no one there, playing for nothing, playing a terrible team, horrible conditions, 20-3 final. Just horrible all the way around in that one. So that comes in at number 2. You can see the crowd. I mean, just horrible conditions and horrible atmosphere for that one. But moving to the number 1, the worst game, in my opinion, of 2022. And we go back to the Chick-fil-A kickoff in week 1. This was a very, very challenging game for me personally, because of what happened, because of Oregon winning all the games after this week. Georgia 49, Oregon 3. Oregon, I remember, was 17-point underdogs in this game. And the weird thing is, reflecting on this game and looking at the stats, it doesn't look like, I mean, it certainly looks like Oregon got thoroughly outplayed. But if I had to guess the final score based off of the stats, I mean, they had 313 yards. I would have said something like 52-17. But it ended at 49-3. Oregon gets annihilated, and then Oregon goes on an epic winning streak, which vaults up this win for Georgia. Not that it really matters in the end, but it was not a good situation for me personally. So for me, and also, let's be honest, these neutral site games where this is a neutral site game taking place in Atlanta, Georgia. Are we really kidding ourselves? Are we serious? Come on, guys. And we got to call it the little Chick-fil-A kickoff. I hate neutral site games in general, especially when two teams play a non-conference game that's neutral site in a dome. And then on top of it, you've got Georgia playing a neutral site game in Atlanta, Georgia. So it is what it is, guys, and it ends up being a total blowout. Either way, guys, that's going to do it for my list of the top 10 worst games of 2022. If anyone thinks I missed something, I probably did. If you have a game that was just so bad that I missed, you can go ahead and tell me in the comments, because I probably missed a few. I just kind of looked through it and remembered games that I just thought were just terrible and wanted to do a fun video on it. So, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.